Hello everyone, I'm back. I was a little busy these past 2 weeks, but that won't stop me from being political active. So, it is true that many guys dress and behave like faggots. The word metrosexual is used way too often.
If there's one thing I can't stand, it's people who make fun of others. My philosophy when it comes to video making here on YouTube is if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You think you're some kind of keyboard warrior? Well, they call me a keyboard gladiator.
This is the guy that will fight off girls that try to date him. He's gonna defend his virginity with that shield harder than a green banana while surrounded by angry chimps. Seriously, someone has to teach these fags how to not be so sensitive. Just as there are the right people to teach them, there are also the wrong kinds of people to teach them. This little bastard is not a good person to teach them, and neither is this retard, and some other people who aren't qualified to teach them are those cringy alpha male channels who sometimes say ridiculous crap. Now, some of them are actually good, but some of them are completely delusional, like this guy named Alpha Male Secrets. A side note, if you're stating it on the internet, it's not really a secret.
Hey, this is M from Alpha Male Secrets, and in this new...
Lovely, a guy explaining how to be masculine and yet he dresses like a homosexual. Lovely work, dude.
Hey, this is M from Alpha Male Secrets, and in this new secret training video, I'm going to show you one secret trick for how to order your food like an alpha male, a real alpha male, and not a beta, because this is something that we as guys do every single day. At least most of us, unless you're one of those rare homebodies who stocks up on food at home and never goes out. But if you're like most guys do in fact order food at least once a day, whether you're in a restaurant, on a date. Now, when most guys order their food, they generally ask for permission to order. They come from that low status beta male frame and ask for permission to buy their meal.
I can take your order?
Yeah, can I get a single? They basically ask for permission to order their food. And like I said, it's a really small yet subtle behavioral pattern that does make a huge impact on how well people treat you or how piss poor people treat you. And I'd also like an ice water.
Something else for you?
No, that's it. You see the difference?
Yeah, this is the kind of guy that walks like this and gives that awkward I'm better than you stare. But the most ridiculous video he made is explaining why you shouldn't watch movies. Let's see why that's so.
Hey, this is M from Alpha Male Secrets, coming to you live from Hollywood, California. And in this new secret training video, you're about to learn why if you want to become a real alpha male these days, the first thing you must do is you must stop watching movies and television shows that are being produced by Hollywood these days.
So you must. You know, if you have to repeat the importance of something, you sound more desperate, not very alpha-like.
Why? Because nearly every movie and every television show being produced by Hollywood these days are no longer being produced to entertain you, but to indoctrinate you, taking you from alpha male right back down to beta male. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is turn on your television. You can see for yourself, this is no longer a conspiracy theory. This is no longer a false alarm.
Listen, there are definitely motion pictures that send a social justice warrior agenda, but you do not see this in most movies. Most criticism of movies these days is about how there's a lack of connection with the characters, or how the remakes aren't as exciting as the original, or they're rushed, or they're just plain boring.
Nearly every movie and every television show that you watch these days is in fact injected with some form of anti-male, emasculated, feminist view aimed not at entertaining you, but indoctrinating you. Indoctrinating you into adopting feminist ideas and leftist views into your life. It's no secret that college campuses and universities these days are nothing more than indoctrination chambers where radical feminists can promote false rape culture, false rape statistics, and false domestic abuse statistics under the guise of so-called education. And with college attendance on the decline these days, and less men actually attending college, feminists have found a new way to reach you, and that is through movies and television shows, blatantly injecting feminist ideas and leftist views into practically every movie and every TV show that comes out these days.
Again, this is untrue. First of all, movies don't care if you're an alpha or beta male. They care about only one thing: money. They have no agenda to control people, they're just a business. They have no ability to control the society at all. Second of all, how can movies have a liberal agenda when liberals are always the ones who end up calling out movies for racism and sexism or homophobia? Feminists took a dump on 50 Shades of Grey because to them tying up women is violence. Jumanji was accused of sexism. Atomic Blonde was deemed sexist. So were The Fate of the Furious, Kong Skull Island, Kingsman, Pirates of the Caribbean, and many, many more. Movies like Fantastic Beasts were accused of racism. The Sicario movies were as well, so was Jurassic Park, Ghost in the Shell, No Escape, Get Hard, and as usual, many more. My favorite movie trilogy, Lord of the Rings, was accused of homophobia because it has no gay couples. The number of cases with SJW rages dwarfs that of the right wing, so take your social justice warrior controlled media back to your alt-right gang.
Just one example of this is the most recent Mad Max movie, which is supposed to be a male-targeted action flick. This movie was supposed to be for guys. This movie was supposed to be an adrenaline-pumping, male-targeted action movie for men. Yet, it was heavily injected with a ton of feminist propaganda. The director of the movie, George Miller, even admitted that he consulted with the writer of the Vagina Monologues, a known feminist, while he was writing the script. That's like the director of Sex and the City consulting with like Rambo or the Terminator for script ideas. The two just don't mix, right? Unless, of course, you have an agenda, unless you have an ulterior motive, like indoctrinating male viewers who naively sit there and watch your movie. Same thing with the current James Bond, Daniel Craig. As you know, James Bond, 007, the world's most famous spy, is predominantly a male-targeted action hero, one that most alpha males, real alpha males, identify with and even look up to and mirror themselves after. And one of the most successful actors to ever play James Bond in recent history was Daniel Craig, who did a phenomenal job in his first Bond film, Casino Royale. And if you're a guy, chances are you've seen this movie. And Casino Royale was a movie that literally skyrocketed Daniel Craig's male fan base into the stratosphere. And his fan base was made up mostly of guys who wanted to be just like him, guys who wanted to be like their hero, James Bond, aka Daniel Craig. Well, by Daniel Craig's third Bond film, feminists could see the writing on the wall. They noticed the massive male following that Daniel Craig had attracted through playing James Bond. So they didn't waste any time in taking your favorite male action hero, James Bond, 007, and putting him in a dress, even putting a wig on him, dressing him up like a woman so that James Bond himself could teach you about why men are bad and women are good.
I haven't seen Mad Max and I'm not interested in it, so I won't speak for it, but you're moving the goalposts for the James Bond movies. Daniel Craig dressing up as a woman was to promote International Women's Day. It had nothing to do with the James Bond movies. Now look, I admit that that was a pretty shitty move, but don't connect that with the James Bond movies. You yourself even said that Casino Royale is a good movie.
If you are a straight male like myself, who likes hot women, who likes fast cars, who likes being masculine, I've got news for you. Hollywood hates your guts.
You know, if you have to emphasize how you're straight and masculine all the time, that's when it gets called into question.
So why in the world would you keep lining up to pay for their movies? Especially when practically every movie that comes out of Hollywood these days, since the year 2000, has been injected with heavy doses of feminism.
So for the next 10 plus minutes, he gets very repetitive to the point where it's annoying and talks about desensitization and all that stuff. But he already made his point, to which I will respond again. First of all, like I said, how society looks isn't important to them. It's just about making money. There are social justice warrior movies. For example, I despise the Bad Neighbors sequel, but it's just one movie. Stop being so butthurt. You sound like a social justice warrior yourself. Second of all, this is one thing. They're movies. They're not supposed to be taken seriously. If you're a person who simply reenacts scenes from a movie and looks up to the characters as someone who is an actual role model, or should I say who you see as a role model, you're a person who's out of touch with reality. No normal adult sees movie characters as someone to reenact. This is just like saying that violent movies and violent video games cause real violence. So, Mr. Alpha Macho Man, if you're taking a dump on movies for feminizing men, you're basically agreeing that violent movies and video games cause actual real violence. Nice one, Macho Man. The argument we've had over the last 20 years is now null and void. But his solution is completely bizarre.
Now, if you like to watch movies like I do, there are other options. You can whip out your old DVD collection. You can dust off all those old movies you have that were made prior to the year 2000. Your safest bet are movies that were made from the 1940s to roughly about the mid-1990s.
That's right. People, remember when your parents forced you to watch movies from their time period and you got really bored? Time to take them out. Most young people don't like old movies or theater because they don't look realistic, nor do they make the person feel like they can be there. I like modern war movies because I can feel like I'm taking part in a modern World War III conflict. How can I imagine myself in a black and white World War II movie in the 1940s when I wasn't even born yet? You seriously need to reevaluate your life, dude. To reach out to feminized men, you need to appeal to them emotionally at the root. That's the first thing you need to do, not use scaremongering tactics to ban movies from their lives. You sound like a social justice warrior feminist yourself. Yes, confidence, posture, and interests are important, but the philosopher Thomas Aquinas stated that the most important attribute and overall definition of masculinity is the willingness to put aside pleasure in order to pursue what is difficult. In short, it's putting reason in front of emotion, being more rational rather than being emotional. That is how men evolved into becoming fathers. In a lot of cases, we have to put aside emotions to care for our families. Being aggressive and demanding is not masculine, as it shows that you're giving in to angry emotions. This is something that so few of these alpha male channels explain, and it is needed if you want to get rid of effeminate men.